I was reading an article the other day, maybe over the weekend, about a city in New York where the residents were up in arms about the fact that there were so many license plate reading cameras, so forth, in the town. And they actually had a little map of it. But almost everywhere you went in that town, the police were recording. They were using license plate readers and they may have been using some traps. I don't know about all that. But the people were complaining about it and infringement upon their rights. So anyway, I then saw on the LinkedIn this morning, I saw an ad for AI underwriting for insurance. Okay. Now, and they were talking about how they can do AI underwriting to determine people's driving habits. Again, I would assume they're using the license plate readers. I'm assuming that they're using that some of these readers probably have a little more capacity than just reading the license plate. They're doing some other things with it also, that they're selling these records police department for purposes, but that there's other purposes they could be used for. Then I'm going to tie this to yesterday. There was a Supreme Court decision saying that it was not legal to use geolocating or what do they call it? Anyway, on your iPhone, it always knows where you're at. Okay. And geofencing, they call it. Somebody apparently robbed a bank and the police got all the geofencing records of all the cell phones in that area for a 2-hour period of time to determine who the person was that robbed the bank. And they figured it out. They found the person. Well, he sued studying this geofencing. So these three articles kind of all got together in my head. And I'm thinking to myself, well, in stop loss underwriting, they're using AI all the time and they're bragging about it. All right. The last big show that I was at, where there were a lot of vendors around, there was an AI underwriting vendor there talking about how they use this stuff all the time. We had a booth there, and the person in the booth next to me was a stop loss carrier. And he was talking, overheard him talking to broker or someone about how they had used AI underwriting and had successfully avoided several $1 million worth of claims because they had picked up this information on the AI underwriting. Okay, so then we also have had a situation where somebody brought us a group to quote on, and they said that they had put it out to bid to some stop loss carriers, and that the stop loss carriers were declining to bid on this case, which the company and the broker thought was a very clean case with no particularly sick people on it. But the underwriters all came back and said, no, there are two people on this that we don't want to have anything to do with. Again, nobody knew. It was a small company. It was probably a 50-employee company, and nobody knew who these two people were. And again, we always talk about the water cooler talk. In a 50-employee company, if somebody's got something going on, you know it. I mean, you can have all the hippie you want to have. You're just going to hear it. It's in the air. Okay. And so think about the fact that we're going to have a $100,000 deductible on this plan for each individual, except these two over here, they're going to be 200,000 or 300,000 or whatever they're going to be, because we have strong suspicions that they have something going on. When they use the artificial intelligence underwriting, they don't tell you who the two people are. So you're just guessing. In this particular case, nobody could guess. Nobody could think of who these two people are. And all of a sudden, bam, we can't get coverage for these people. Now, again, it's not like stop loss is losing money. Stop loss insurers bragged about it last year. The big ones that report publicly bragged about the fact that they had record years. They had some of the best years they've had in history. Now, they complained about the fact that they see big things coming down the road. At the same time, they're having record years. So it's not like they're going broke. Okay. And it's not like they're not raising their premiums. They're raising their premiums by double digits and so forth. But now we've got this new other vehicle out there for them to try to avoid risk. And again, it just hit me this morning about, wait a minute, the police can't use this for criminal purposes, according to the United States Supreme Court. But it would look like stop loss carriers can. I suppose maybe at some point in time, somebody will take a stop loss carrier to the Supreme Court, but I think it'll be a while before that happens. It just seemed really challenging to me, the idea that we want to try to make healthcare plans affordable. The insurance companies want to duck all the risk. The courts say you can use it for this purpose. You can't use it for criminal purposes, but somehow it slides under the radar and you can use it for insurance purposes. The whole thing just feels really wrong to me. AI doesn't distinguish what people are doing with why they are where they are, why they are on a particular site. So let's suppose that somebody that you know has cancer. Maybe it's somebody you're a good friend with, or a neighbor, or somebody like that. And you become very concerned. So you start Googling and you start doing AI searches about cancer, about this particular form of cancer, about the forms of treatment, about the progression that might be involved, about the cost of various treatments. And you're doing that because you're interested in this person. AI doesn't know you're doing that because you're interested in somebody else. They could look at that and say, well, Jim's out there, looking at all these cancer sites for this particular condition. He's been doing it for a couple of weeks, so he must have cancer. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to make the leap that if he's that involved with it, he probably has it. Well, maybe he's just that concerned about whoever the particular person is and goes deep into it to follow it. I don't believe AI has the ability to discern that because of interest and trying to help somebody else, or it's because he has it. That again, I go back to the underwriter coming back and saying, no, we're going to decline that case because we have two people on there that we think have big problems coming up and we don't want to underwrite it, but they won't say who it is or why. They can't. Okay. We don't know. And so the idea that you're really having the ability to take advantage of this kind of technology and to improve their already wonderful loss ratios, doing fine. A financial institution can get this information, and there's no apparent legal requirements or guardrails up around what they can get or how they can use it. And at the same time, the police can't use it. It can be used in areas that impact our lives very personally and very directly, like finances, like insurance, but it can't be used in criminal investigations. I can't get over that idea. So there are some protections coming. We know that California put some rules in place that allow people to not have geo-tracking applicable to them. And we know that there's the Federal Trade Commission has stepped in and prevented some of the information brokers from giving out geo information, for example, for people who might be going to reproductive centers, okay, or who might be near an addiction center. Really, really an important topic. I mean, that's pretty damning all by itself. They come and say, stop it. Somebody was doing it. It's happening. It's been happening for quite some time now. It has negative effects on us, but we don't necessarily feel them, so we aren't aware of them. That's it. And I tie all this back to healthcare plans because I think it's really important that employers understand what's going on within their healthcare plan. Some employers are going to try to avoid knowing what's going on, but again, if you take people that aren't involved with hiring and firing and have them involved in it, I think you're safe. And it has already impacted health plans. So I think that the more the employer or somebody within the employer knows about the situations of the people that are in the healthcare plan, the better that employer plan is going to be able to defend itself. It gets back to, this is your plan, this is your money and your employees' money. You need to treat this like a buying co-op, having strong knowledge of what's going on inside of that.